Hey guys, welcome back to TCT time! Yay! This is really nice for a cold day like today. It's actually freezing outside today. I don't know when you'll be watching this, but it's like snowing / raining. It's terrible.
Ice cold rain. It's like 7 degrees outside, so not very nice.
I'm thoroughly confused. It was nice yesterday.
I know!
Yeah, like sunbathing, whatever.
I know. What I wanted to discuss today was I think that there's a really common misconception in Japan that food in Japan is super, super healthy. Which for the most part I think is pretty true. But living in Tokyo, there's a whole bunch of all kinds of different foods. You can eat foods from all different countries, and even Japanese food, there's a huge variety that you can enjoy. And I wanted to ask you guys, do you actually think the Japanese food is healthy? What do you guys think?
So I don't know. When I first came to Japan, I was living in a share house, and I think what I found is I was eating quite a lot of konbini food because going down in a big shared kitchen, it was just too busy to go make food a lot of the time. I found there's kind of a lot of junk food that you can go and eat in convenience stores.
Very true.
They have bento and they have Japanese style, and they have like a lot of kind of Western style as well. You get pastas and things. I think it's kind of loaded full of sugar and salt. It's probably not very good.
And preservatives. Like, let's be honest, like convenience store food are just packed with preservatives. They look really nice. Some of them even look super healthy, but like salads, they have salads at convenience stores here, which is great. It's great for like a healthier option, but in order to keep all the vegetables looking fresh and like leaves looking green, I think they're just filled with.
I actually never thought about that.
Yeah,
really? No.
Yeah.
Look at the ingredients sometimes.
Now I'm kind of concerned.
Yeah. No, seriously, if you look at, you need to be able to read Japanese to see the ingredients, but if you look at the ingredients, like there are so many things in it, even if it's just like a simple salad and like, pH balancing things, etc.
Even in Japan, if your diet is solely or predominantly from a convenience store, you're going to gain weight very, very fast.
I think so.
As I found out on the recent journey across Japan, for anyone who doesn't know, we did a trip recently, and it was 58 days from Yamagata to Kagoshima, and Chris, our good friend Chris, was cycling the whole way. So he needed kind of a carb-filled, kind of a high-calorie diet to offset, so he just didn't faint. But I joined him on that, but I drove in a car. And so I wasn't losing the calories, I was just gaining them.
Oh my god.
High calorie diet.
Yeah.
Sat down all day.
Well, it was like,
terrible.
because we were excuse me, on the road all the time and constantly filming and stuff, we didn't really have much time to kind of get together and plan things. So it was always, okay, let's meet at this konbini. And when we would drive, because, convenience store car park's a perfect place to plan a road trip somewhere, as get the map out.
Congregate.
And then as Chris was cycling, we would kind of drive ahead in 10, 15 kilometer increments at a convenience store car park. Naturally, when you're waiting, you get coffee or an ice cream or something, and it just builds up. But I kind of made the conscious decision at the beginning of that trip. I knew it was going to be unhealthy because after day 2, I think we've been to about 8 different convenies, and it's like, okay, this is going to be the trend for the next couple of months. So I thought, screw it, I'll enjoy it. It'll be good fun, and then when I get back to Tokyo, I'll try and lose the weight. But I think I gained about 9 kilograms in those 2 months. Just through a convenience store diet, and it was brilliant. It was so good. I ate so much chocolate and fruit. I should have kind of gone about it a little differently, maybe, but I thought I'd enjoy it. But anyway, that's a good example about in Japan you can. Although people think of Japan as being extremely healthy and everything, if you do, if you want to, you can eat really unhealthily.
Yeah, definitely.
And then since I've been back for the last few months, I've tried to eat healthier, and I've lost, fortunately, been able to lose all that weight that I gained.
Nice.
But that was all through cooking for myself. And I think that's one big thing about Japan. Maybe not necessarily in Tokyo, or maybe so, but I would say most Japanese families kind of really value dinner time, and really it's not really kind of all broken up. You sit down as a family.
Right.
And if you go to a supermarket on a Saturday or Sunday, it's rammed in Japan because everyone does their shop. So I think eating at home and cooking at home is the norm for Japanese families, and kind of eating out is maybe a once in a, kind of a treat every now and then. So I think that's a big reason why Japan, I guess, compared to the rest of the world, maybe it does in general have a healthier kind of lifestyle.
Yeah,
That's a really good point.
because I was mentioning that I first came to Japan, I was living in a share house, but since then I've been living in an apartment, and as soon as you've kind of got your kitchen to yourself, you're going to the supermarket every day, and there's so many like fresh fruit and vegetables and things on offer, lots of meats and things as well. Yeah, while some of it can be quite expensive, I think there's a lot of fresh and good ingredients that you can.
Yeah, very true.
Judy, you grew up in Japan, right?
Yeah.
So did you? Was it rare to eat out with your family? Like, would it normally be you eating at home?
So I mean, like you said, our family time or family dinners were one of the most important parts of our daily life, I guess. But at the same time, I think there's a huge culture of mochimeshi. I don't know if you know that.
I actually don't know that.
Mochimeshi
Like
is
eating alone?
Yeah, eating alone.
Okay.
And it's so common for you to do that here. And it's total, like if you go to yakiniku and have mochimeshi, it's like totally normal, you know?
Yeah.
And eating by yourself, in Japan, I think it's so convenient to eat by yourself.
Right.
So I think there's like that contrary.
Okay, so
Yeah.
not always.
Not always, but in terms of eating healthy, I think families really, really try to put that as a priority. Actually, I heard from one of my family friends that they have 2 kids, and both their kids go to a Japanese school. And then the teachers actually evaluated their bento boxes.
What?
And to see if it's like properly like nutritious and stuff like that, and then gave a review back to the parents.
Wow.
The bento box is the
Yeah.
parent that their moms probably made in the morning.
Yeah.
Really?
And then
How strict are they?
right? And then my family friend was like, oh wow, so I have to change this and this and this now after reading the evaluation, and totally change the lunchbox.
Do you get extra points
Wow.
if you cut the
Wow.
carrot into like the shape of a Yakima or
That'd be
Pokemon
nice.
or something?
It'll be like a war of bentos, right?
It already
pretty
is a war of
Yeah.
bentos. Like moms in the morning, they labor over these lunch boxes they give their kids and also their husbands, and they make them look cute. Like you can see all over the internet, like cute like bento boxes.
Yeah.
And they make them look like teddy bears, and everything is like flower shaped. And moms kind of compete. Like if you don't do
Totally.
that for your kid, then you look like a terrible mother.
Yeah.
That's kind of what it's come to, which is really sad because
Incredible.
it must be hard to do that every single morning.
Yeah, waking up early and
Right?
preparing that.
Yeah, it's already hard to prepare lunch in the morning, let alone like cutting everything
it
out
into
into a
lunch.
flower shape. And, like,
I guess that is good though, because and also kids, I know in Japan, get really from a young age get taught the kind of the importance, the kind of appreciating where the food came from,
Yeah.
and the gochiso samadashi is a phrase that you're kind of thanking the farmer for making the food, the animal for if it was meat for dying for your lunch, and all these things. So I guess kids are really taught from a young age the kind of the relevance of what they're eating, and not just that, just also I guess you went to school in Japan. Did you have to like as a group like wash up all the dishes and stuff
Yeah.
like that together? And,
For the brief moment that I went to a Japanese school,
Okay.
yes.
Right.
But
is
also,
that what made you go to leave and go to Japan?
it's like, no, screw this head of dishwashing.
the
Leave
funny
it.
thing is we also valued our 3 p.m. snack time. I don't know
Ah,
if
3
that's
p.m.
a
snack
thing.
time.
Yeah, it's a thing in Japan, and
Alright.
well, at least when we were really young.
Yeah.
I don't know about the high school, middle school.
So just before you're about to go home, you all sit together and have like a
So
snack
5
or something?
p.m. you get off school, right? But before
Whoa,
that,
in what
you-
grade?
Elementary school.
Really?
Wow.
You gotta have
3:30 in the UK.
Yeah,
It's very late.
Really?
Yeah,
Yeah.
3:30.
Oh,
See, anywhere between 3 and 3:30.
Maybe
think
I went
can
to-
do that too.
kind of questioning my childhood now.
Does that include like clubs? Like you have to join clubs after school? Because that, if you do, then I think you get off around like 5 or 6.
But elementary school, I mean.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
That's
I-
weird.
I think also back in, I guess our views might be skewed somewhat by living in Tokyo,
Mhm.
because
Right.
things like
Very
when you think
true.
of Japanese food, you think like ramen, tempura, katsu,
Yes.
and these are really not healthy things. They're like
Lots of
Yeah,
fried
yeah.
food.
really fried food. However, I think if you look at really traditional Japanese food, it's a lot less red meat than it's often fish
Yeah.
as the meat. It's often a small bowl of rice, and you kind of it's served to you in like small portions of lots of things, so you kind of take longer overeating it. You kind of value the time to like conversate, I guess, with your family and stuff. And so I guess traditionally food was a lot healthier than potentially other parts of the world.
Yeah, it's very true. And actually it's interesting that I actually learned that in the past in Japan, Buddhism was quite widespread in Japan, which meant that a lot of people weren't allowed, like technically you weren't allowed to eat meat.
Oh, really?
This was something that was, I believe it was legislated. I don't know when, at what period this was, but you weren't technically allowed to eat meat. So even like wild boar, some people would eat it secretly, people who lived in the mountains, but they called it yamakujira, like mountain whale.
Really?
I think it was like a way to pretend that it's not actually meat. Like it was a little bit taboo to be eating those kind of that kind of meat. So
That's so interesting.
It's interesting how much it changed to the point that now, I mean, meat is obviously, I mean, people are not really religious anymore. That's the main thing.
Right.
So meat is much more widespread. But traditionally it was fish, which is very low in fat and so very, very healthy.
And like I say, it's often it's often some rice, some fish, some pickled kind of daikon, pickled vegetables, things like that, a real balance of stuff. And Julia, so what's the phrase? It's like hachi.
Haru hachibunme.
What does that mean?
So it's like you only eat 80% of your full hunger level.
Yeah.
So
Does that make sense?
Don't eat until you're...
Yeah, don't eat till
Can't
you're
eat.
full.
Eat till you're 80%.
Yeah.
So
you have to
stomach
kind
is-
of think about how much you're eating, I guess, right?
And
So
that's
you
kind
stop
of
before you're completely full. That's the
Yeah.
And
I
that's-
don't know where
way.
it came from.
Is that a phrase that kind of everyone knows? It's like a pop. It's
I
like
believe
a,
so,
It's like
yeah.
a common
Yeah.
thing.
I think it's very common. I've heard that before as well.
And I remember also when I, like John, when I first came to Japan, I lived in a share house as well. And I remember getting some rice dish, probably katsu curry, from the konbini, and I was eating it. And I remember I didn't finish all the rice. I mean, there wasn't much, but it was a little bit. And I remember my Japanese friend saying to me, if you ever get invited to someone's house or anything, it's a big thing to finish every single grain of rice. It's more. It's like there's a old kind of thing that goes along with it, and then it's unlucky for each grain of rice. And I remember saying to him, "Well, I'm not anywhere near good enough with chopsticks to do that." And he showed me like, "Well, you got to kind of scoop it all together and then kind of scoop it." But there is, I don't know it, but it's something about. Hopefully, we can find a link to it in the video below, maybe. But there's some kind of like folklore about if you invite someone's house and you leave rice, it's not just that it's a bit rude, but it's you should finish every single individual grain.
Like it's actually unlucky as well.
Something like that. It's like each one represents something.
Interesting.
Sorry, I can't remember it fully, but yeah, there is something behind it.
I
Unless he was just lying to me and just actually just got.
I didn't know about that actually, but I do think that generally it's seen as more polite if you finish everything on your plate.
Right.
But you know, if you're eating on your own, I think it's quite common for people to cut out the rice a little bit because that's you know, high in carbs.
Yeah.
If you're trying to be a little healthier, that's something that's quite common. People reduce their amount of rice that they eat because rice is definitely a staple in Japanese food. And if you eat a lot of rice, then you know you're probably going to be gaining weight.
Yeah.
So I think that comparing like traditional Japanese food and like kind of the modern day Japanese food / like variety of culturally influenced foods here, I think that generally speaking, Japanese food is more on the healthier side. There's a stronger emphasis on fish and vegetables traditionally. And probably if you go to the countryside or like out of Tokyo, that's going to be still one of the major types of food that you'll be eating. And soba, which is also very low calorie, like buckwheat noodles. A lot of things. And tofu, that's another big staple as well. So if you're eating food like this and really sticking to traditional food, I think you could be very healthy and very slim.
And very balanced meal, right?
Yes,
So,
very balanced. And that's kind of the key to the longevity in Japan, I think, too. In Okinawa, they have the, basically the longest, the oldest people live in Okinawa, isn't that right?
No way.
Yeah, I think
I think so, yeah.
I didn't know that.
Okinawa is known to have
So
the
they
people.
I fully believe it. It's like I said, it's the diet.
Yeah.
I guess, like I said, we're all a bit skewed living in Tokyo. 'Cause it's a big city. It's like any other city in the world. You can get very convenient, very fast food. So I don't think it's particularly a good representation of traditional Japanese food. But yeah, somewhere Okinawa, especially where the variety of fish down there is so great, then I'm sure it must be a really healthy kind of lifestyle.
Very true.
So I think in addition to not just like the types of food that they have and the portion sizes, it's also just like eating habits, right?
Yeah.
Because you have a lot of people, perhaps from the West, that take big spoonfuls or forkfuls of food and just shovel it in as fast as they can.
Yeah.
But then in Japan, they're using chopsticks for a lot of their more traditional food. Obviously, Western food, you use knives and forks and whatever. But if you're eating rice, you generally eat a little bit slower because you're taking much smaller mouthfuls at a time. What do you guys kind of
I agree. I mean, actually, that just reminded me that I think it's considered more polite to be eating slowly and carefully with your chopsticks. I remember being basically reprimanded by my grandparents when I was younger for eating too fast. And they're like, that's not, like, that's so improper, essentially. You have to eat slowly and, delicately.
Yeah.
That's kind of, and I think that really helps you to not overeat. Like, the slower you eat, they say that, the fuller you feel. So that's, I think, part of the secret to why Japanese people are so slim.
I remember talking on portion sizes, so specifically, I remember when I first came to Japan. So when you go to a place, you might hear the words when they ask you if you make an order, especially if you go to like a ramen restaurant or something like that, they might ask you like namimori, omori, kind of like the different. Pretty much anywhere you go for lunch, if it's a Japanese restaurant, you'll get the option to make it large size, small size, or chumori, or regular size, and it's often there's no price difference. You've paid for your lunch and you say, so I remember when I first came to Japan thinking, clearly the large one. Why would I ever choose the small one? But I think my mindset's changed now because I'll go and I'll sometimes, I don't think I've ever had nami, the small one, but I'll occasionally say, chew like the medium size. Well, I do normally get omori, but at least I think about it now. Before it was like, it's, at least I guess my mindset coming here was absolutely get as much food as I can for my money, and that's good. But
but I think you're right. That's definitely a more Western mindset. Like you generally try to get more bang for your buck, so you want to get as much as possible for the least amount of money. But in Japan, I feel like that's less of a concept that people think about. They just want to. Their focus is more like healthy portion sizes. Some people do just crazy amounts.
There is like a huge culture now of tabe hodai and nomi hodai together.
Right, you can eat, all you can drink.
All you can eat, all you can drink. So I think, like you said, there's a huge contrast to people eating a healthy portion as well.
I would say that the nomi hodai, the all you can eat, all you can drink, that's kind of like a once a week with your friends kind of thing. It's not like it's like a
not every day.
Because like you say, I'd say majority of Japanese friends I know, they do like go out drinking and consume a hell of a lot of calories on the weekend and stuff like that. But I guess it's balanced with
the weekday
kind of not going. Do you guys have any practical advice for someone coming to Japan, like products or shops or anything? Like one thing I would say is there's a like in Japanese supermarkets, if you go to any of the big chains, you can get pretty much anything. But there's a chain for the things you can't find. You guys ever shopped at Caldi?
Yeah. It's like an import store.
It's Caldi. There's a lot in Tokyo, right?
Caldi
You often find them Caldi Coffee Farm. It's,
I've heard of it.
And things like when I was trying to lose weight recently, a lot of the meals I was cooking had like things like chickpeas in it, and things like that are not overly popular in Japan. But I guess it's kind of a testament to the niche in the market that Caldi's grown and grown and grown, because it's everywhere now. There's probably a couple hundred in Japan, I'd imagine. But yeah, Caldi, if you're cooking in Japan, if you've just moved here or something, and you can't, like the Japanese supermarket, because it's really daunting initially, because you can't read anything.
Right,
You think that's probably what you think it is. You think it's probably chocolate, but no, it's red bean paste again. They got me. They got me again.
Have you ever had a chocolate?
Foiled.
But Caldi, occasionally for the things maybe you're used to at home, or because they have like American stuff, they have really good Mexican section if you want to cook Mexican food and things like that. So Caldi is a good place to kind of.
I think that's a big point, because, like, for example, from a Western country, we have our own ideas about what is healthy food and how to
Right.
make healthy food.
Yeah.
But as foreigners coming to Japan, we're looking through all the ingredients at a Japanese supermarket. We maybe can't read all of them, or we don't know what half of them are. We don't know what kind of recipes are healthy in Japan. We're trying to cobble together these things. But actually, exactly as you're saying, in like places like Kaldi Coffee Farm, for example, if you can kind of use Western ingredients, it can make life a lot easier.
Right. But that's a good point about different conceptions about what is healthy, because that reminded me that like, you know, in North America, Subway was like a huge diet trend, Subway sandwiches.
Yeah.
And there was like, what was that guy's name?
Jared?
Jared.
Yeah.
He lost like a whole bunch of weight, and it was just a huge thing. Everyone,
Yeah.
and so everyone like goes and eats Subway sandwiches twice a day, and you can
He's in
lose
prison
weight.
now.
But like,
sorry, it's kind of, sorry, yeah, Subway.
wait, what? He's okay.
Yeah,
we
no,
won't
no,
get into that.
no, I think-
But when I mentioned like Subway being kind of a healthier, you know, fast food in North America, Japanese people are always like shocked. They're like, "What? Subway is super unhealthy. Like, why would you go there
Really?
to eat healthy food?" They
Yeah.
don't even see it as a healthy food
It's just bread and salad.
restaurant. Yeah. Bread. I mean, depending on what you put in it, I guess, because you can customize
To be
your
fair, you
sandwich.
can put like
All the
meatballs.
mayonnaise.
Meatballs,
Yeah.
cheese, like it could be the worst, the most unhealthy
Yeah.
sandwich. But I mean, if you focus on the veggies, I mean, it could be. But
Yeah.
that kind of just reminded me that conceptions are really different.
Yeah.
And yeah,
I mean, for me, I guess not so recently anymore. I came back from the US
Mhm.
and I've been there for a while. And, you know, there's a whole craze about salad bowls and, you know,
yeah,
a huge salad bowl. And I've been getting used to that and I've been craving it. But in Japan, there's not many places where you can get a huge salad bowl like that. It
Yes.
actually,
they're popping up.
They're
There's a
popping
couple,
up, yeah.
right?
Mhm.
but it's a lot more difficult to find that compared to, for example, in the States.
Yeah.
Because people are just not, people in Japan are just not used to eating that much vegetables.
Right.
They
At
eat
once.
vegetables, but not salads.
Yeah, not
per
salads,
se. Like
yeah.
salads
Right,
are
right.
more of a Western dish. To be
Yeah.
honest. You can find them in Japan, but it's not really cultural to just have a salad.
Yeah.
To be healthy. Like generally, Japanese healthy foods are like cooked vegetables and in balance with other like fish and things like that, or maybe meat. So their concept of how to make vegetables is quite different.
Very different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So those trends keep coming in. So you can still eat all of those different foods in Tokyo, which is really nice.
Mhm.
But I think that what we can take from this is essentially though that Tokyo is just such a varied city for, you know, food culturally. You can be extremely fat here if you wanted to be. Like if you wanted to just
Very
let go,
easy.
eat all of your katsu, all of your karaage, like your fried chicken, eat all of your ramen,
Yeah.
like tons of rice and like beef bowls. You could probably gain a whole lot of weight doing that. And
Right.
going to convenience stores, eating all your chocolate, sweets, mochi. There's just so much to eat here. You could really gain a lot of weight. But if you want to be healthy, those options are also quite available. And there's a lot of traditional restaurants you can go to that serve really balanced meals. You can even go to the supermarket and you can buy like tons of different types of tofu, which I don't think you can do that much in Western countries.
Yeah.
There's some tofu, but it's kind of a thing that's more Japanese. And they even have like diet noodles here. Do you know what those are?
I've not seen diet noodles, no.
They're like no carb noodles, and they're made out of
konyaku?
they're made out of konyaku
Ah.
or okara, which I'm actually not quite. Okara, I think, is like a byproduct of making tofu,
All right.
and it's basically very very low calorie, like
Yeah.
10 calories or something like that per serving, which is very low, 17
Wow.
calories. So you can try, and those diet options are also available, which is I think is really nice for trying to be slim in Japan. Yeah. Do you have anything else to add to that?
Not really. I would say I've noticed that you say konjaku.
Mhm.
It's really become popular in the last few years, right? I know
Yes.
Donkey
Yeah.
do konjaku jelly,
Yeah.
and they limit how many like tourists can buy because it's like they
Really?
just sell out. So konjaku is what is it? What is that from?
It's made out of konjac
Yeah.
imo, which is like a
Potato.
yam. Konjac.
Oh,
It's
yam.
actually
Yam.
called
That's right.
Konjac.
It's
Like,
a konjac
yeah.
yam.
Even in English.
Yeah,
Really?
yeah.
Yeah.
So it's a type of yam,
It's a-
but from that you can make like the sweet things. It tastes really good, but really low in calories. So yeah,
Yes.
things you get these trends.
High fiber,
Wow.
low in calories. So it's been a huge diet trend recently. If you want to diet, you can eat your konjac noodles. in place of other carbs, and then eat cognac jelly for dessert, and then you can lose a lot of weight doing that actually.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So I think all in all, essentially, yeah, Japan is generally a healthy place to eat. Tokyo might not be the best example of where to get healthy food. You can get so many different foods here. But traditional Japanese food still remains very well balanced. And that might be your best option for staying slim. And portion sizes are essentially the reason why most people are slim in Japan. And home cooking is such a huge value. So yeah, I think that's basically our conclusion about the conundrum of whether Japanese food is healthy or not. Yes. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and let us know what you guys think about like your conceptions about Japanese food. Like, what is your main image of Japanese food? Is it just all sushi? Do we eat sushi every day? We don't, by the way. But let us know what you guys think about Japanese food, and if you have any other ideas for future videos. Thanks so much for watching. See you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye.